Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Britt and I'm the owner of Even If Candle Company. And in this video, I'm going to discuss concrete vessels. Let's get to it. Let's be honest. Even though there are pros to making your own concrete candle vessels, making concrete vessels kind of stinks. Let's talk about it. Number one, messiness. If you're anything like me, mess just feels so overwhelming and you don't want to be any part of it. The more messy it is, the more overwhelming it is and the more anxious you feel. I can sweep the floors after each batch I've made, and I can wipe all the counters down, and I can just really maintain and be on top of cleaning it, and it's still there. It's kind of like when you're at the beach, you're in the sand, and you rinse off as much as possible. You come home, you're washing your clothes, and like a week later, you're still finding sand. That's how I feel with the cement all. The dust and everything just goes everywhere, and it drives me absolutely insane. Not to mention, the cement all that you have to buy is a 55-pound bag. That's not the easiest, especially with my injury that I have. It's not the easiest to handle. So thankfully I have my husband here, but when he's not here, I have to deal with it. It's heavy, and just when you put it in the bin to store it, it dusts and it just goes everywhere. Which leads me to another messy topic, pigment. I cannot tell you how many times I have spilled pigment all over the place. No matter how careful I am, it doesn't seem to matter. It gets everywhere, or there's specks of it all over the place. I don't know how it happens, it just does. And it's really similar just to the concrete effect when you're at the beach with the sand and it never goes away. That's kind of how pigment is. But pigment is a little worse than the concrete because it's almost impossible to remove off of surfaces depending on the surface that you use. So the surface I was using was meant for, a garage, and it had it's a storage, and the material of the shelving, it permanently marked up and stained the shelving. So yeah, not a huge fan of the pigment, and I don't like how it ships to me. I don't really know how else they can ship it to you. I don't know. It's not my field of expertise. But I do know that every time I have to open up a new bag, I have to cut it open and then, put my storage bin that I use for the pigment on top of tarp or plastic or outside something so it's not in the house. And then I pour it into the storage bin because, like I said, no matter how careful you are, it still goes everywhere. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the messiness of the pigment. Another point I wanted to mention about the pigment is that you're not always getting the shade that you wanted. So there is inconsistency when it comes to the color. Another topic, shaving the bottoms of the vessels. Now, if you over pour, typically it's just nice to make sure it's not too sharp on the bottom of the vessels for your customer. And I use this, it works well. It's just another step of work that you just don't want to do. Sometimes if you shave too much, it's going to be a little too wobbly, and you try to do it a little more on one side, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. So shaving and, making sure that the edges aren't too sharp can be really inconvenient and destroy the vessel. Another point, cleaning. I hope you have a bunch of paper towels on hand and a bunch of rubbing alcohol for your cleaning process. You go through so many paper towels. It's outrageous how much you go through. And you have to, because you want to make sure everything is clean. So you do find yourself spending quite a bit of money on cleaning supplies for this craft. Another point, molds. I found that you need to replace molds way more than I thought. And not to mention, they're not cheap, especially if you get them customized to say your company name. So because they're silicone and you're putting cement in them, they stretch. Silicone is not made for cement vessels. So you will find that you're replacing your molds way more than you want to. And along with the molds, I wanted to talk about the castings that come with them. When you order your molds, a casting will come with them, and then you put them over the mold once you have the cement in there, so they don't, so they shape nicely and they stay in place when they cool off and they curate. Okay, yeah, there's mess already on my counter. So there we go. I touched it for 2 seconds. Anyway, so because of your mold stretching and not staying the same way as when you first started using them, the castings aren't going to fit them. They start becoming way too big for your molds after a while, and they literally can't do their job anymore. I've seen people like myself, we use the binder clips or something to hold it into place. That's not gonna help if it doesn't fit at all and it's completely coming off. It serves no purpose. So after some time, I just don't even use these anymore. So because I can't use the castings the whole time I have the molds due to the stretching problem, you're gonna find inconsistencies in your vessels once you're ready to unmold. They're supposed to be round, but you'll find that sometimes they're gonna look oval because you don't have a casting to make sure that they stay in place. And then if you reach out to the supplier for the molds, they can't do anything about it because your mold is already stretched out. So they don't know what size that it needs technically. So that's why you need to replace the whole mold and start fresh. Another point, sealing process. So sealing is something you have to do because concrete is a porous material. You don't want your fragrance oil and wax to seep out of your vessel. So sealing, you just can't get around it. So with at least 2 coats of sealing per vessel, it takes so much time. And not to mention, it starts getting really tiring. For those of you who make these vessels, your hand, you can probably really relate to this. Your hand starts hurting after a while if you have a big batch to do. Not to mention the amount of time you have to wait in order to pour your candles and have them start curating and ready to sell. The mask is so uncomfortable and it starts getting extremely hot, and then you sound really nasally and you have to blow your nose after each batch. But seriously though, you have to wear a mask when you're making concrete vessels. So there's no way of getting around this either. It's extremely uncomfortable, and especially when you're living in a hot state like I am, the last thing you want to do is put on a mask. And the last point I wanted to discuss, convenience. Making your own vessels will never be convenient. It's really nice to have convenience when you're running everything else in your business like I am. You can only make so many vessels a day. Making vessels is time consuming, inconvenient, and can be really inconsistent. So I had to say all those points. I wanted to be honest with you guys because I really try to be honest and forthcoming to you, and I wanted to express to you the cons of making the concrete vessels. It's reality and it's what I experience and what I go through. Now, of course, if you want to make your own vessels, please do that. I love the craft and I love doing it, but it is hard and it's not easy to keep up with. So it is the reality of the business, and I just wanted to tell you exactly how I felt. I hope this video has helped you guys. I hope it's just a little more insight on if you're trying to figure out if you should make them or not. This is the video for you. I hope that it helps, and if you have any questions, please comment. I'm here to help as much as I can. As always, thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting this channel. I can't wait to the next video. God bless.